Exomologiste to Kyrio te agathos, alleluia.
Otis ton neona to eleos aftu, alleluia.
I want to talk about the political earthquake that happened this week and Reform's landslide victory that we've just seen. Reform has gained over 1,000 councillors and has become the second largest party in Wales, as well as gaining its first seats in the Scottish Parliament. There's no two ways about this. This is a peaceful revolution, and it is exactly what the United Kingdom needs. It needs a peaceful, democratic revolution where we usurp the authority and the normativity of the liberal elites. The Labour Party and the Conservative Party are both being pressed by their flanks. So the Conservatives are being pressed by Reform on the right, and Labour is being pressed by Plaid Cymru in Wales and the Greens in England on the left, and SNP in Scotland, which are to the left of the Labour Party, as well as losing substantial votes to a socially conservative but otherwise socialist working class. The Labour response to this defeat, ladies and gentlemen, is to just double down and to say that they want to go faster and deeper upon their progressive agenda, which just shows that the elites don't listen to the votes and haven't listened to the votes for decades, because for decades people have voted to stop illegal immigration and reduce legal immigration. But yet none of the elites of either the Conservatives or Labour have ever managed to follow on the political mandate that the people have given, because they pursue their own agenda no matter what, and that is exactly what Labour has pledged to do given their electoral defeat. Not to change course, not to listen, not to think again, but just to go faster and deeper with its progressive agenda that is destroying this country. Let's be clear. The vote for Reform was a vote about culture and about integration and about migration. It was not a vote for more progressive politics, for more transgender politics, or LGBTQ silent P politics, or for a bigger welfare state, or for deeper integration with the European Union. But the elites can't listen, and the elites won't listen. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it remains that this process of destroying the two major parties must go on faster and deeper. The surge in the Liberal Democrat vote, the Muslim independent vote, and the Green vote show to us that the two-party system in the United Kingdom is dead. And let it rest in peace, because it no longer serves the nation. The two-party, uni-party system of this country only serves those at the top. It does not serve those at the bottom. And what we see, ladies and gentlemen, is that the fractures and the echoes of the Brexit vote split the country. Those areas that voted to remain inside the EU tended to go Green or Plaid Cymru or Scottish National Party or Liberal Democrat. Those groups, ladies and gentlemen, those areas of the country that voted Brexit are the ones that voted Reform. And so we can see that the division in our country is down along between those who are unionist and those who are internationalist in their politics, ladies and gentlemen. And thus this represents to us a danger to the United Kingdom. It is not for nothing that Plaid Cymru and the Scottish National Party both won in their regional assemblies. This is an existential threat to the United Kingdom, and the unionist parties need to start finding policies that will strengthen the United Kingdom and strengthen the union of the four nations that make us up. It cannot be ignored that since devolution, the nations are drifting apart. It is also worth observing that the progressive vote, when you add it all up, is bigger than the reform vote. And that is why it is absolutely important that reform and restore unite and work together. It is absolutely important that the Conservatives recognise that they are drifting into the shadows and that they serve to help this peaceful revolution. And I say to every Conservative party, put the country before the party. The survival of the United Kingdom is more important than the survival of the Conservative Party. Right. So step aside peacefully. Don't divide the right, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot afford division on the right, but it is of strategic importance that we stir up division on the left, that we make the left fight against itself by exposing their differences and by causing Labour to entrench itself against the left by tagging Labour and steering Labour to the right, so that the left splits its vote, ladies and gentlemen. What has been demonstrated by this election cycle, ladies and gentlemen, is that the working classes of England and Wales and Scotland have flexed their muscles. They flexed their muscles and look at what it achieved. For too long, working class communities either lazily gave their votes to Labour or they didn't vote. But in this election cycle, they came out in droves. And see what it achieves, my working class brothers and sisters. Look what you do when you come out and vote. And I want to say to you that you need to keep up the pressure. You need to come out and vote in every election, and especially the next general election. Because we have, to my estimation, 2 elections to save our country from being utterly destroyed by internationalist progressive politics. The working classes are by far the largest singular voting bloc in this country. They dwarf, ladies and gentlemen, the Islamic vote. As you saw in Birmingham, where Reform, and Bradford, where Reform came out strongly despite the Muslim vote. It is us, the working classes, that set the direction of the nation, but the elites want you to fall asleep. The elites don't want you to be politically organised. The elites want you to buy into their bread and circuses, distraction from your own destiny as a people. We do not need anyone as the working classes. Labour needs us. The trade unions need us. Reform needs us. Restore needs us. The elites need us. The working classes do not need anyone. They only need to organise themselves in this country into being a political patriotic movement, and they will set the course of this country for generations to come. And so I say to all the working classes of England, you must force a unity onto Reform and the political parties of the right. You must organise, you must train, you must mobilise, and you must resist the erosion of our culture and identity as the people that built these nations and these islands. And you must unite on a narrative that is bigger than partisan politics. You must unite upon a Christian nationalist movement, upon a Christian identity, on a Christian culture, and you must force the parties that claim to represent you to actually embody those things that you value, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to stab and destroy the Labour Party, tear up your trade union cards, end your payments to the trade unions, end your membership to the trade unions, and set up instead Christian trade unions rather than socialist trade unions, ladies and gentlemen, and defund the Labour Party. At this moment in time, the entire political establishment is scratching their heads and wondering how they can respond to Reform's victory, to Reform's surge. And that means that they are going to be listening to the working classes. And so it is important that the working patriotic classes of England, Wales and Scotland articulate a political agenda and political policies that represent their concerns. And here are some of their concerns, 10 points that we can rally around and rally behind as a political bloc. Number one, more resources and commitment to arrest and prosecute judges, police officers, social workers, youth workers, parents, and the Muslim rape gangs that were responsible for the industrial rape of white working class girls up and down this country. We want to see it as a moral crusade run by the state to hold everyone account for what happened to those girls mercilessly and zealously until all guilty parties find themselves in prison, and that the victims of those Muslim rape gangs are duly compensated for the failure of everyone to protect them. Number two, a hard, absolute stop to illegal immigration. No more excuses. No more paying France for what it is not doing. Do whatever it takes to end the boats and to end the illegal immigration into the country and to re-establish the borders of England. Number three, the complete removal of all illegal immigrants from this country and the tearing up of all international treaties that prevent us from doing so. This is unfair to us as the taxpayers. It is unfair to legal migrants who do all the paperwork and pay all the bills and jump through all the hoops, to allow illegal migrants to stay in this country when they are clearly not refugees, because they have passed through safe country after safe country after safe country after safe country to get here, ladies and gentlemen. Number 4, a revision to legal migration that emphasizes the importance of integration, that doesn't merely judge the legal migrant by what skills they are bringing into this country, based upon what skills are missing in the workforce, but also looks at how well they can integrate by considering things like language and culture and religion, ladies and gentlemen. Number 5, homes and jobs for those who are born in this country. There is a housing crisis in this country. There is a lack of work in this country. And whilst there is such a crisis, it is important to preference the people born in this country by strengthening educational courses to build the requisite skills within the British workforce. And it is important that we recognise that we as British people are partly responsible for the need for migration into this country by divorcing and aborting our own children, and by having low aspirations in our families for our children in the workforce. Number 6, that we dramatically revise the welfare state to reward the working poor rather than those who sit around on benefits, never contributing to the system. And that this crackdown on welfare abuse be accompanied by a dramatic cut down on public waste of public money on schemes that are of no value or no good to the British people, the British culture, or the British identity. Number 7, that we re-establish a maximal freedom of speech in the United Kingdom that allows us to say things that hurt people, things that insult people, things that the polite society don't want us to say, and that we should be free to discuss all political issues without censorship, ladies and gentlemen, or without weaponizing hate speech laws to silence legitimate speech in this country. And an end, ladies and gentlemen, of the police prosecuting and arresting and harassing people for jokes and tweets, ladies and gentlemen. Number 8, to uphold and to celebrate and to cultivate a British identity rooted in our Christian past that perforates the education system, that perforates civic life, that normalizes Christian standards into law and into public institutions. Number 9, to end the two-tier policing and two-tier court system, to prosecute corrupt judges and corrupt police officers who politicise their office and have thrown into prison people like Lucy Connolly and Tommy Robinson when they broke no law, ladies and gentlemen. And that we police fairly all political movements and we enforce the law equally onto all, rather than saying that this group gets to break the law because of cultural sensitivities. Number 10, that the establishment respects the Brexit vote and does not seek to dilute it by new treaties with the European Union, and that we immediately begin a process of the renationalisation of the state by passing such laws as making it illegal for foreign-born nationals to sit in the parliaments and councils of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I want to say to the Reform leadership, heed my words well. Many of the people that voted for you have only lent you their vote because they are waiting for Restore, and they are using you as a blocker to the Greens and the Labour Party. Do not take this vote for granted. If you want to keep this vote, we want to see you act on these issues. You promised us an inquiry about the rape gangs and you did not deliver.
Nothing.
Reform, we don't need you. You need us. And so it is time. This is your one opportunity. If you want to keep our vote at the general election, show to the working classes of the United Kingdom that you will fight for what they value, what they believe in. Do not take our vote for granted, because as easily as we swept you into power, we can sweep you right out of power again.
That's right, so.
Thank you. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Well done, Bob Sila.
Going once.
Going once, so.
So I have one question, please.
Go on.
One question, go.
Regarding the election which is coming regarding the mayor of London, the woman is sitting for reform is a Muslim woman. So will she bang the Sharia law in the UK if she wins?
Ladies and gentlemen, I do not believe that the Muslim candidate for reform will be trying to push Sharia law if she is elected. If you look at her, she's clearly not a practicing Muslim. You know, just like there are many Christians in our politics who claim to be Christian and never pursue anything Christian in their political agendas, it is just as possible to have Muslims who will never pursue anything Islamic. And I believe that the Reform Muslim candidate is such a person.